Okay. Um, Hi everyone. I know there's no one on here right now, but if anyone decides to download this later, my name is Dorian, and today I am giving a walkthrough of a restaurant slash coffee shop that I built in The Sims. It is inspired by a real life restaurant that's near me, that my husband and I like to go to fairly frequently. And the way the actual building is it's based in an old house that I think the house is like 200 years old. Used to be a former judge's house. At one point, it was a quilt shop, but now it's a has a restaurant in the basement, and it's inspired. The restaurant itself is inspired by a German basement tavern. They call them Rathskellers. So I called this place the Ale Skeller, and the Java bar component is on the main level. Fortunately, in the real life location, the coffee shop closed down. I think sometime last fall because of the pandemic. But I decided to honor its legacy by creating a coffee shop on the first floor, and then yeah. So enough talk. Let's just kind of go right in. So you'll see I call it the Ale Skeller and Java Bar. Ale Skeller is inspired by the Rothskeller name Ale, just because it serves beer or juice as they call it in here. Then Java Bar I thought was a fairly cool, straightforward name for a coffee bar. If you download this is available in the gallery. I will call that out right now. Under my name Dorian Koholi, and it does use quite a few packs, so I do apologize for that. Although I'm not sure where the Batu is coming from. I think it might be one of the debug piece of landscaping I use, but hopefully you won't have any issues. And if you do download it's not one of the packs, hopefully it doesn't screw up too badly. Um, yeah, so this is available on the gallery under Dorian Koholi, and let's go ahead and take a look. Don't forget your climbing gear before you start your climb. That makes sense. I haven't actually done. I have the snowy escape. I haven't actually utilized the snowy escape yet, but we'll switch it to after. Oh, not too far. We'll switch it to afternoon just to get the better lighting. Guys, forgive me. I'm on the Sims. I just recently discovered that you could do the Sims 3 camera in here. I'm still trying to figure out how to actually use the Sims 3 camera. Excuse me. So bear with me as you might see some like really weird jumpy stuff going on. But anyway, this is the L scaler. A circular view of the joint. So I put it in Magnolia Promenade. Obviously, you can put it in wherever, but just looking at against the backdrop, against of the promenade, it seems to fit in pretty well. So I thought this was a cool place to do it. Um, as you'll see, I do have it set up as a restaurant. It meets all the requirements for a restaurant. Easily change this to a cafe or bar, and it will meet all the requirements there as well. Got bar, a cafe, back to restaurant. Yep. You see, it is building itself is 2 floors, and you can kind of see this little basement entrance. Um, it so this is how in real life this is how you actually get to the actual restaurant. So I thought it was a cool feature to kind of include here. You can kind of see through the window, but we will do a more in-depth overlook. See, that's what I meant. Kind of see the coffee shop set up. And then we'll go over the second floor. Second floor is just kind of a generic community space. I wasn't really sure what to do with it, but when we did a walkthrough, um, yeah, on to the walkthrough. So let's go ahead and take a look outside. Um, if you do download this, you'll want to make sure BB Moved Objects is on because I did kind of take some liberties. For example, this sign is a column with a custom sign put in place. And yeah, I don't know why this mailbox keeps popping up. I don't actually need it because I think I switched this over to residential because I had a sim go in here. I was playing it out, and then when I went back into the build mode, I saw all these dirty plates everywhere. So I switched to residential so I could bring a single sim in and have them clean up the place a bit. I'm sure there's another way to do that, but it worked out for me. So it is what it is. But anyway, look outside. So we have a partial wraparound porch with a couple of benches. We have some landscaping. We have some flowers. We have some little restaurant signs. We have the outdoor seating area. So in the actual restaurant, they have some benches up front, which I guess is people waiting for tables. And then as far as the actual seating, they have patio seating, they have picnic tables. There's also this little building in the back. So just to my understanding from what I read about the history of this place is that this little building used to be used as an old jailhouse, I guess from the time that this was a judge's residence. So they retained the building in the actual location and they put a picnic table in there. So I thought it was a cool little feature to include. This was placed by BB Move Objects, but I did test it and people can actually sit at this table, so it will work. Um, they do live music on the weekend, so I included a microphone and a little guitar. And then I do have string lights from this free holiday pack that I put up outside, which I thought kind of gives it a cool ambiance at night, gives it a little romantic vibe. So this could be a cool place for a date night. I didn't include a woohoo closet, which I noticed that some of the other restaurants I've downloaded have. So your Sims will have to figure that out for themselves. But anyway, just going around. Not really anything on the back, just another entrance. We do have a little side door which goes into the coffee shop, which I'll show you guys. And then, yeah, so again, apologize for the wonky camera-ness, but here we go. And let's take a look at let's start with the actual restaurant. So, restaurant, like I said, you go down those stairs to go through this door. This is the King of Diamonds classic door. His little stained glass, which I thought was a cool touch. We have our little host booth. We have the Koholi geometry windows. It's the closest thing to a stained glass window that I could find, which I thought was a cool feature to add. The actual restaurant has one, but it serves as kind of like a pass through. But there wasn't really a way to recreate it here, so I just put the windows in. We do have our indoor seating. So we have enough for five seats. We have some for 3 seats. We have the Beyond the Spectrum lighting, which kind of gave it, I think, like a pub type vibe. And then since this is meant to replicate like an older German style bar, I did put some older, old timey looking photos up, as it were. We have the bar, which any good ale skeller or Rathskeller would need. Using the within reach nectar shelf and the straight up wall mirrors, I created what I thought was a cool little bar backdrop just by sitting them over top of each other. So you kind of get like this kind of get cool vibe here. And we have our full kitchen, a little bit extra counter space. I did put in 2 fridges and a coffee maker for the chef and the wait staff so that they can get their coffee. I did size down this industrial pantry rack by 1 just because this thing is huge typically, and I thought it was a little unrealistically big, so I sized it down 1, made it a little more reasonably sized. I also used the rubber mats from dine-in because I would imagine a real restaurant would have that. We do have 2 fairly straightforward bathrooms with a toilet and a sink. We have a small little alcove, with another waiter spot. We have one right here, as well as 2 high chairs. You figure someone brings their kids in, they might want to use a table, but there's a little food still on there. So yeah, hopefully I didn't make it into the gallery upload, but if not, then you have a little spoiled popcorn mix to play with. The have it playing romance music on the wall venue speaker. I figured that'd be a nice little ambiance. Obviously, you get this, you can change this however you want, but I thought it would be a cool little vibe. Had the little menu cards on the tables themselves, and I think that's it for down here. So I'd say this is pretty close to how the actual location is laid out. I will say the actual location does have booths along this wall, but the booth options in this game are exceptionally big, like way too big to realistically put in here. So I kind of skipped them and just opted for tables instead. Like, look at this one. This is the straight up, like, this thing is gigantic. Seems like to me like it would be unrealistically huge to try to put that in there. And I wanted to try to keep this as true to size as I could, but so we just opted for regular tables and chairs. Alright, so we have another little sign. I think that's it for the bar. So let's go up and check out the first floor. So this is the coffee shop. So room is split up into three sections. So we have our main coffee shop section. We have a little hallway with stairs going upstairs, and then we have I said three, it's probably four. Another bathroom, and another small kitchen. This, if this would I would is what I would envision the kitchen for the coffee shop would use. Obviously, since you only have one venue type, this is for the most part going to sit dormant. I did notice in my playthrough that a couple of the wait staff were using this dishwasher, which I do have one downstairs. But hey, if you want to wash extra dishes, more power to you. But yeah, here is the coffee shop. Another thing I do want to call out: if you keep this as a restaurant, the cafe itself is not going to be staffed. But if you're playing through and you want to give it the same vibe, you can easily hire a barista. They will come through and work. Um, yeah, we have some art. We have our pride flag. Um, I did originally have some tables and chairs up here and on the patio. However, while I intended for them to be used by the coffee shop, I didn't realize that the restaurant would claim them as its own. So the only way a person could sit there if they requested a table, and I didn't necessarily want restaurant patrons to be sitting up here because it didn't seem like it would make sense. So I go ahead and remove them and replace them with couches. So if you if you decide to change this over to a cafe, you can add them back in, or you can add them back in, whatever, if you want just more traffic going through. But I was trying to, keep it somewhat true to life and have the actual like restaurant patrons kind of just sit over here, whereas this would be kind of treated as its own entity. But yeah, that is it for I think that's it for the coffee shop. I have the espresso machine, all the equipment. I have the chairs, a few books if your sim want to come by and read. I have a little bulletin board because I figured that'd be something you'd find in a local community shop. I think the music I'm playing up here is alternative. But yeah, now let's go up to. Oh, I did add a little accent wall. So everything else is the pure expressions gray. But I used the Matchstick Mania to create like a little accent wall, which I thought was a cool little touch. Yeah. All right, second floor. So again, we used the plain but pretty gray up here. But I did create a little accent wall with the retro color blocks. I'm gonna be honest, this space I wasn't 100% sure what to do with. So I don't know how this is used in the actual location. So originally I figured it's an older house, they'd probably have some sort of apartment or something on the second floor. So that's how I created this originally. Had like a little apartment area up here and then office space back here that would have been what a converted bedroom. However, now your sim can't actually live here. Now, I know you could technically sleep here and pretend you're living here, but I see like it'd be a waste of space to just turn this into an apartment. So I took inspiration from another local coffee shop I've been to where they the coffee shop is located in like a huge warehouse space, but they only take up like the first quarter of the space. So they turn the rest of it into little conference rooms, little community rooms that can be rented out. So I figured I'd try to recreate something like that up here. So we have a few different rooms. This one in the back, I just have a couch and a chair. Nothing too crazy here. Do have two bathrooms. Have a little coffee bar. So sometimes after they finish their little meeting, they want to grab a cup of coffee. Um, these are the two primary spaces, community spaces that I have here. This first one, I just envision to be cool. Could be an interesting little like art group meetup. So have a bunch of easels. Have the what's called the artiste supply tabaret. Sure, I'm butchering that. So, um, and then this space, I just put a little podium and some chairs. I figured this could be a cool place for like lecture series, or if someone were to create like a group that has like the Sims equivalent of like Toastmasters, maybe they could meet here and they could practice debates or they could practice speeches. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the second floor. Again, nothing too frilly. And again, if you download this, you can tweak this as ever you needed. Actually, I'd be kind of curious to see what you might want to have your Sims use these community spaces for. So if you wanted to leave me a comment in the gallery or when I upload this to YouTube, however, or yeah, just let me know how you guys use the spaces because it might give me some ideas for the next time around. And I think that is it. So that is our Ale Sculler and Java Bar / little community space here. I hope you guys all enjoy. Again, this is available on the gallery for download. Looks like we already have a couple downloads, which is kind of cool. This is the first time I'm actually uploading something to the gallery. So this is the one of the first times I actually put a lot of effort into building something from scratch. Usually I just take one of the pre-existing buildings and I just make little modifications as needed, but trying to get a little more into the actual building aspect of it, and I'm having a lot of fun trying to put together some real life spaces. There's another one I'm working on right now, which I'll probably start streaming in the next day or two. The progress I've made so far. For it's like a little like nature conservancy that's like built on the grounds of like an old farmhouse. So yeah, so more to come on that. But thank you guys, and I hope you have a good day.